What should we do next? What should we do next? Oh, hi guys. What should we do next on our 1970 TR6? Anyway, anything we do is helpful, right? So what we did in the last episode was we worked a little bit in the engine bay. We installed the fuel pump, oil pressure switch, PDWA, master cylinders, etc., etc. So I think we should come back here and finish the dash. I was holding on a little bit with the dash because I wanted to install the windshield frame first so I can deal with the rods that stick inside, but I didn't order the trim that goes on the bottom, top and sides of the windshield frame, the plastic or vinyl or whatever stamped material it is. So there's another option for that. I can wrap it in vinyl maybe, but we'll see. I'll talk to John about that. But you know what? I think I shouldn't hold the work here for the windshield frame. I can do that anytime. The rods stick deep down there. I can deal with that later. I really want to finish the dash so the car looks a little bit more finished, you know. So far we've done a lot of work to the car and it still looks unfinished. So that's why I think we should focus on finishing this area here. So for that we need to do two things. We should run the rear harness as well, install the tail lights and make sure everything works there before we assemble it, because if something doesn't work then we have to take out the dash again to work behind it, even though I don't think there's going to be any issues. But then there's one more thing that we need to do here. We need to modify a little bit the wiring so we can install a voltmeter here instead of the ammeter, because we are switching to newer style gauges. Instead of the black ones, we are using the ones with chrome that come from a later car, but the later cars came with voltmeters and not with ammeters. So we're gonna have to modify the wiring here a little bit, and then we can assemble the dash completely. So I don't know if that's gonna happen all in this video, but at least we made a plan for the next few days. So without further ado, let's pull out the rear harness and get crack-a-lacking on it. Okay, so here's our rear harness. That's where it plugs into the main harness. And one of the last jobs, if not the last job, in the limousine center, where I've done the restoration of this car before it was stowed for a few years, was to check the wiring harness and make sure that all the connectors are good and all that. Okay then, let's plug it in and run it. Alright, so this is where the harness is plugged into the main harness, then it goes down, around the seal, then it goes up here, under here. Here it's important to go through this hole, then it goes around here, and here you saw this was the tricky part, because it needs to go in between this layer, and here this flange was like pretty bad. The trick is to keep it as high as possible, because here this panel, you see, that's actually this panel, and it comes out. So right here above there's enough room for the harness to go. So I run it through and it came out here for the other tail light. This is for the license plate, and on the later cars there's holes here for the license plate illumination. But on early cars, the lights are on the bumper. So that's what this hole is for. And inside there's this hole, so that's between the two valances. I'm just not really sure how the wires go from here to down there. So maybe we're gonna have to run them back here, and from here they go down, or maybe from here we can go straight to this hole. I don't know. We'll see about that, but yeah, the license plate lights we're gonna deal with later. So now I can go grab the tail lights and install those. Oh, and here I didn't show you, but there's a branch that splits off from here, goes behind here, you see it right here. There's tabs that you can attach it to, and this branch is for the fuel level sender and for the illumination. So here you have a switch on this tab right here, which I don't think on this car we had it though. I don't see where the switch was going on this car. I have the feeling this car never had the switch. I don't know, we're gonna figure this out, but this is for the switch and for the lights. The purple is the power coming from all the way from the front, and the purple with white is actually ground through the switch, so it's switched ground. Okay, and for tail lights, John has multiple tail lights. I don't know which ones came out from this car, which ones he had from before. I think he got some from somebody as well. So these are just a set. Extra lenses for the front ones, but the ones on the car are pretty good, so we don't need these. Brand new gaskets for the tail lights. Two of these, and two of these. That's good. Some broken lenses and some broken tail lights. I believe these are the ones that came out of the car, and he got another set from somebody. Well, I think these came out of the car, judging by the color. Okay, interesting. I thought one set was brand new, so we're gonna have to look at all of them and see which ones are the best. I think these bases are by far the best ones. Do you agree with me? Even the fixtures look better than all the other ones, if we have them actually here. Yeah, that's for the signal, so that's a single fixture. This is double because this is the parking lights and brake lights. This is nothing, this is just a reflector, and that's reverse. So this is the only one that needs to be double. And here we have double, here we have signal, here we have single for the signal, and we have single here. Oh good, here we have double, single, and we're missing one single for here. So I'm guessing we're gonna have to use this one, even though it is pretty old. We're gonna test them all to see if they transfer ground, because these are notorious for not transferring ground. For now, I'm just gonna put them like that. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna use these bases. So now let's look at the lenses. They're upside down now. No lenses here, so that goes away. So these lenses are actually pretty good. This is broken. Okay, so here we're gonna take this one, and the reverse, and we're gonna install it here, but we're gonna keep this one because this one is broken. So for here we have a solution. Let's look at this now. So these are all pretty bad, but this is the base that we want to use. But these are all good, I think. Yeah, these are all dull, not good. These are gonna go away. Yeah, this base is definitely better. So this base with these lenses, because these are all good. So let's switch them. Okay, so we have I believe this is the right side. Yeah, that's the right side ready. Lenses are the best ones of the ones that we have. The base, I also ran a little bit of a steel wool everywhere to make sure that it cleans up nicely, which it did. I also made sure that we have hardware everywhere, cleaned it up a little bit. There were some rust on some of the studs. I cleaned this up. So now actually I'm gonna take these fixtures out, wow, because they need to be cleaned too, and eventually soldered. And this one is ready to be installed on the car. So I gave you a time lapse for this one. For the other one though, I wanna show you things as I'm taking it apart and assembling it. So I'm not gonna show you everything, but just the interesting things. So obviously to take it apart, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 screws here. So we take these off and the lenses come off. Okay, so this is the base that we want to use. I took apart everything, I cleaned it up as much as I could, and these are the lenses that we want to use. So these are the best ones that we have. This is the one that was in a bag. I thought it was a brand new one that we were going to replace this one with, but turns out it's broken here. And we have to be careful with these because here, for example, you see this boss here is much shorter than this, and here we have longer screws and shorter screws. So we have to make sure that we use a short screw here in this hole. So this we can't use, but our lens here that we have is not bad at all. All the other bosses here can take long screws, I believe. Here, actually no, here we also need short screw, I think. No, even this one can take longer screw. Here inside it's full of some dirt, but we can't take it apart. We can try to pull this out, but I'm afraid we're gonna snap it. I think it's glued pretty well, so whatever's inside there, it's gonna stay there. Anyway, that's one thing that I wanted to point. So to assemble it, we start with the side one. I think it's the easiest this way. Maybe you can do it the other way around too, but it has this recess here that needs to be overlapped by the signal lens, so I believe it's easier if this is installed first. You can always slide it in, but I think this is the best way. So we put the gasket there, of course. So again, a short screw here at the end. I'm gonna leave it loose for now. And then here, shouldn't forget our gasket. So this gasket has orientation, you see here, there's a difference, and that's how it goes. Now we can put the last one for the reverse light here, and because it tends to shrink the gasket, I'm gonna put it a little bit off, and then I'm gonna push it together with the gasket towards the side, and that's how we're gonna tighten it. There's only one screw on this lens, so we're gonna tighten it not too much, because if we over tighten them we're gonna break them. The other side is held by this lens that overlaps it, you know. So this one is the same. Also only one side is held with screws, the other side is overlapped by this lens. Now before we put this one there, we need to have this reflector. So this reflector goes at the end of this lens and prevents lights to shine through this way and shine half of this lens. So this is important. This can go like this. There you go. So now that we have these two tightened, now we can tighten these as well. And now we can put this one, of course, that overlaps the other two, like that. And the gasket is nice and spongy, which is good. Okay, that's it. And now this stud came out with the nut, so that's how it's gonna go. I'm just gonna make sure that all the hardware fits well and goes well. I mean, there's no rust that holds it there, so it's easier to work it out on the bench than inside the car, right? Okay, now let's go install them on the car. Okay, so these gaskets, they have direction. So you see this one won't fit here because of this curve. See, we need the opposite one. So this is the one that fits here. And let's see how that's gonna work now. So we have to put the side first and then this. So we're gonna go like this. And like this. Oh, okay. Kind of works. Okay, so now to compress the gasket, we need to compress it this way and we need to compress it this way. So I put a few screws loosely now, but now I'm gonna start tightening them, but not permanently, because if we tighten, for example, this one permanently, it's gonna push the tail light in, but it's not gonna allow this part to push it this way after. That's why I'm gonna do them a little bit at a time. Now let's do this one a little bit in. Okay, and they already work. The reverse light works, and the brakes work, and the signal. Ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong. There you go. It looks like a car again, but we still don't have the light fixtures in the back. So let's take care of them before we install them. All right, I already took care of these, and there's two more to be taken care of, but let me show you what the problem is. Okay, so what happens here is this little spring inside that is supposed to transfer the ground from this crown to the bulb, it loses contact with the crown here. Even though they touch, from the humidity in the air, it just rusts inside and they lose contact. And that's a very common problem for Triumphs and probably other British cars that use this type of fixture. So I don't know if this one works. I haven't even tested the other ones. I just decided to fix them. Let's test this one though. So this one works, but I had in the past I repaired countless of these by just adding a blob of solder here. So let me show you how I do that. I'm gonna clean this one as well. So here on my brass wire wheel, I come and first I clean up these because some of them were rusted. These are not in a bad shape, but still it's a good idea to clean them. And now that we're here on the wire wheel, let's also clean this a little bit. Wow. We also need to clean inside here a little bit, make sure that there's no oils or grease or anything. A little bit of flux here to clean it, to prep it for the solder, and then just a smidge of solder. There you go. So now it's gonna be solid forever. Double check if it works. It still works, surprisingly. Now here there's a trick that I'm sure that not everybody knows, because ask me how I know. I had to discover it on my own after I was playing for a while with this. So here there's two tabs, top and bottom. this is the reverse light. So we have a single, one of these. So these tabs need to fit in these bigger spaces here. You see, we have top and bottom, bigger spaces between these teeth. So when I started dealing with Triumphs, I didn't know that, and I was just trying to fit those, and they don't fit, and I push, and they bend, and I was like swearing all over the place. Well, it's so easy. Top and bottom, you need to have a bigger gap, and then they fit absolutely no problem. Same for the signal, so top and bottom, and I'm gonna leave this contact on this side so it's easy to plug it in. There you go. And here again you have bigger gap here, but here you have this tab that makes the bigger gap smaller again, and that's because here you only have a tab on the bottom. You don't have a tab on the top, so the big gap goes to the bottom and this goes to the top. Now let's plug in the wires. Here we have, in the first place, we have ground to make sure that we have a good ground on the body of the tail light, because we can't rely only on these bolts. So the black one is ground, green with white is signal, that's for the right signal. The left one is green with red, I believe. So that's how it goes. Red is parking light, so it goes to the side here. Green with brown is the reverse light, so this goes here. And we are left with another parking light, which is the red, and the brakes, which is the green with purple, I believe this is. And they go like this. The parking light goes at the bottom and the brake light goes at the top. There you go. So this one is done. Later there's a cover here that covers it, so we're gonna install that when the time comes. Okay, so we have our test battery hooked up there. So let's see now. Lights. We have the lights here. Yeah, the default lights are on. Yeah, so these are the parking lights. Yeah, this one works. And here it works, and oh, here it doesn't. Both sides. No. Ground. We have ground. Maybe this is not a good ground. Here. What if we touch it there? No. So I'm touching it directly to the outside of the fixture, but it doesn't work. Does everything else work? Let's see. Actually, I'm gonna put you on the tripod. So let's test the other part. So I'm gonna turn the ignition on. And signals, that's left signal. Doesn't work. Right signal works, so this confirms that we have ground to the body. Okay. It works when we have the hazards on, but it doesn't work when we have only the left signal. Oh, now it works. I have the feeling this switch on the column is not great. Yeah. You see, now it doesn't work. That's weird. Okay, let's see the reverse. Yay, the reverse works. What about the brakes? Oh yeah. I see from here reflection in the wall. Okay. So the only thing that doesn't work is the right parking light. So even though the right tail light doesn't work. My suspicion is here on the left tail light, because like I said, this is one wire brings power, the other one takes it from here to the other side. So maybe here it's not making contact. Nope, that's not the problem, because now that I touch this, the other side should have worked, but it doesn't. So somewhere from here to the other side we lose power. Let's see if we have power here. Okay, so just to confirm, we have power here. Do we have power here? We have power here. Why do we not have power here? We have ground through the other bulb. So if we put power here, the outside bulb works. Which tells me that this wire is connected to the other one, but somehow they're not connected to those ones. Okay, never mind. The error is correct. I am the problem. So these two wires should be together in one spade connector, not with two, because it's just like here. One brings the power, the other one takes the power and brings it to the other tail light. So I'm assuming that the connector here was missing, and I didn't realize that the two wires go together, and I put two separate connectors for the two license plate lights. That's what I was assuming, but nope. It is actually, I'll show you now. And of course, when I checked if there was power here, I checked the one that brings power. Had I checked the other one too, there was not going to be power there. But I didn't think for a second. Okay. Well, you see guys, even I'm not perfect. I'm almost there, but still not perfect. Okay, I'm sure now they're gonna work. Let's go turn them on. Do they work? Yes. This one works. What about the side? And the side one works as well. Okay. Okay, let's test everything again, just in case. Ignition on, brake lights, that I can't see. You're gonna have to tell me whether they work or not. I can see reflection in the wall, but I don't know if it is one or two. So I'm gonna have to check the footage. Left signal, right signal, reverse, hazards. It's all good. Okay, so one more thing that we want to check here is the fuel level sender. How it works is, inside the gas tank, the float is attached to a variable resistor. So the higher the float is, the lower the resistance. The lower the float is, the higher the resistance. So the gauge senses that resistance and it shows different levels. So this means that if we shorten this, that's going to have zero resistance, and it's going to tell the gauge that the tank is full. Let's shorten it and see if the gauge is going to react. If it reacts, then that's going to confirm that the harness works properly. And later we're going to have to take the gas tank off and deal with it separately. And at that time we're going to measure, we're going to take also the float off, and we're going to measure the resistance there and everything. For now I just want to confirm that the wiring works properly. So that's shortened. Let's turn the ignition on and see if the fuel gauge is going to go all the way up. Yes. So that tells me that the wiring works correctly. Let me unplug it now. And now it should be going down. What was it, this? Yeah. And now it starts going out. And you see how slow it goes up and down? That's for exactly this reason. Because when the float goes fast up and down on corners or on potholes, we don't want that fluctuation in the resistance to affect our fuel level. So that's why they made it work so slow. Okay, so that confirms that our rear harness also works properly, no problems, no issues with it. Now let's deal with this ammeter versus voltmeter situation. So you see here we have three big brown wires. Let me unplug this. This is the illumination, so forget about it. So this one comes from the alternator, and this one goes to the battery. So that's how the battery charges. Comes from the alternator, goes through the ammeter, and goes to the battery. So if we remove the ammeter, we need to put these two wires together, otherwise our battery is not going to charge. And this one is for some of the accessories. Actually, let's go see it on the schematic. Before we go though, if you remember here, there was this green wire that not that I couldn't figure out, but didn't want to deal with it at that time. But this extra wire is for our blower motor that goes to the switch here on the plinth. These two are going to the blower motor and the ground for the blower motor. So these are the three wires that go to the switch for the blower motor. But we might also splice off of this wire and use for our ammeter, because it's the green circuit. This wire is live only when the ignition is on. But let's look at the schematic quickly. Okay, I'm hiding my face because I realized in previous videos that when the camera recognizes my face and goes and focuses on it, and the schematic is out of focus, so that's why I'm hiding my face, sorry. Okay, so this is the ammeter, and you can see here the wire, the brown with white wire. The big one comes from the alternator, goes through the ammeter, and then goes and charges the battery. If we don't have a connection here, we're not going to charge the battery. So these three wires that go to the ammeter right now need to be connected together, and then the ammeter can be eliminated. So my idea was to take all these three wires, put them together, and hook them up to one of the terminals on the voltmeter. Doesn't matter which one. And the other one we hook up to ground, and that's going to give us voltage. The problem is though, as somebody pointed in the comments, that in this case we're going to be permanently hooked up to the battery, and our voltmeter is going to read constantly, which in the long term is going to drain the battery if we don't drive the car anyways. So we don't want that. We want one of the contacts on the voltmeter to be hooked up to switched power, to ignition. So all the green wires, the solid green wires, are 12 volts ignition power. So they are only live when the ignition switch is on. When the ignition switch is off, they are off. So this is the heater fan switch, and you see this green wire that I just showed you. That's the wire brings power to the switch, and then the switch connects either first speed or second speed of the heater motor. So if we take this wire, splice off of it, and connect it to the positive terminal of the voltmeter, and the other terminal we connect to ground, our voltmeter is going to work only with the ignition on, when we have power to this circuit. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, so this is what I decided to do. All three wires here, the brown and the two brown with white, hooked up together to one side of this inline fuse. So this inline fuse we're going to use later for an amplifier, because John wants to install an amplifier in this car. So this is the perfect opportunity. Instead of running another wire from the battery, we're going to use this brown wire, which we know that comes straight from the battery, actually from one side of the starter, but another wire from the battery goes to the starter directly. So we have permanent power here, and we close the circuit for the two brown with white wires through here. And now we don't have a fuse here, but when we have a fuse, we're going to have power here, permanent power for our amplifier. I'm going to decide what rate this fuse should be when I see the amplifier. If the amplifier has 20 amp fuse on it, because usually the amplifiers, they have fuses on them. So if it has 20, we're going to put here 30. So that's going to hang just underneath here on top of the transmission cover. It's going to be accessible behind the speakers here. And for the voltmeter, this is what I did. This is the original green wire for the blower motor switch, and I put it together with another green wire for my voltmeter, and this other green wire is now hanging here. That's gonna go to the switch. And for ground for the voltmeter, I spliced off of this black wire, which is for the illumination. So now we have switched power here and ground here, and we are ready now to assemble the dash. Yay! The only thing that we haven't figured out yet is the switch for the windshield wipers, but we're gonna leave the wires hanging out through the hole, and once we have the motor installed, we're gonna figure out these wires as well. Hey, no peeking in the next episode. Yeah, our dash is already installed as well, but this episode becomes a little bit too long, so I'm gonna stop it here, and I'm gonna show you how we dealt with the dash in the next one. Whether we had troubles installing it, whether everything worked after it was installed, yeah, that's you're gonna find out in the next episodes, because this one we're gonna cut here. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing, sharing, and supporting this channel. It's really appreciated what you do for this channel, guys, and I want to say a few words about that again for those of you who are new to the channel or never stayed till the end of the video to hear my monologue. So there's multiple ways to support the channel. One is through Patreon. You can have a monthly subscription and a little fee every month, or another way is what I call buy me a beer. There's a link in the description underneath. If you click that link, you can donate any amount just once as you wish. But again, I want to emphasize that this is not buying you anything, because everything on the channel is free. So the financial support is only for those of you who feel like it, those of you who want to say, thank you, Elin, you saved me some money, here's $5 to buy yourself a beer or something like that. Also, I want to say that the financial support is not for the work that I do in the garage, that obviously I'm paid for. The financial support is for the hours that I spend on the computer editing these videos, because for these hours the only revenue that I get is a little bit from YouTube, but that's nothing. Somehow our Triumph community is too small and my videos don't get enough views to generate a decent revenue. So by supporting me financially, that's where your money goes. It covers these hours that I spend on the computer doing these videos. Otherwise, I would spend all my time in the garage if I don't make money from the videos, right? So that's it. By donating a little bit here and there, you're allowing me to get out of the garage, go into the office and edit these videos and publish them. If I was only relying on the revenue from YouTube, I wasn't gonna make it. But again, it is only if you want to. I don't want to create VIP content or early access or things like that, because some people can't afford it. And I want even the people who can't afford supporting me financially to be able also to have access to everything. Why not? There are things in life that I can't afford, and I feel jealous of the people who can afford them, right? So I don't want these people, just because they can't afford a monthly subscription of $5 or $10, not to be able to see everything. So that's it. If you feel that this is unfair, okay, then just stay on the free side. Don't support me financially, and it's gonna be fair for you. But these people who can't afford supporting me financially, they are still supporting the channel just by being here and watching. And they also help me by sharing my content, telling their friends about my videos, so more and more people can watch. And hopefully one day, one of my videos is gonna go viral and it's gonna drag the other ones with it. I'm waiting for this day for 8 years. One day it's gonna happen. And it's gonna happen thanks to you guys, because you continue to watch, like, subscribe and share, and one day the YouTube algorithm is gonna say, wow, there's just enough people who are watching this guy's video and they're hitting that like button also, and they're sharing, so obviously the videos are good. Maybe I should show them to some other people who are not subscribed to this guy. So it's gonna be thanks to you. So that's what I mean when I say thank you for watching, commenting and subscribing. I really mean it, because this is also a great help. So anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling now. Thank you for watching, commenting, subscribing and sharing and supporting me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.